My name is Esther Wachiko, and these are the top stories. Blackout as national electricity grid collapses. Upset in Labour Party over massive sack of lawmakers. Anger as Shoyinka fires fresh shots at Peter Obi and followers. Anger as well also following the death of man-made personnel in some local government areas. Details now. Nigerians are set to stare in darkness following reports of the collapse of the national grid operated by the Transmission Company of Nigeria from Oshogbo in Osun State. VOP News gathered that the grid dropped to a meager 273 megawatts of electricity coming from 2 out of the over 27 electricity generation. Several distribution companies confirmed that the grid went down at 12 midnight, disclosing that most of their feeders are out. At about 1 a.m. as well, the total power on the grid was 35 megawatts, indicating that the country experienced a total collapse. The grid went to 193 megawatts at about 3 a.m. before climbing to 273 megawatts when this report was filed. Meanwhile, the Labour Party has emerged as one of the biggest casualties of the ongoing State and National Assembly Petition Tribunal. VOP News gathered that tribunals sitting in different states of the country have sacked many of the elected members of the party in Edo, Abia, Enugu, among others, over the discrepancies surrounding their membership of the party and their mode of nomination. Rising as one of the main opposition political parties in the 2023 general elections, the Labour Party was able to claim some House of Representatives and senatorial seats in some states. The milestone of the Labour Party in the general elections was unprecedented, considering that the party came from obscurity to gain popularity. Many saw this as a revolutionary movement that captured the heart of the youth at a time Nigerians yearned for a change. Before 2023, the Labour Party had existed for over 20 years as a pro-workers political organization, but it made inroads into mainstream politics within just 8 months. However, as the National Assembly Election Petition Tribunal sitting in several states and their proceedings this week, the Labour Party has been on the receiving end. About 552 election petitions were filed by aggrieved candidates, and while over 150 of the cases have been decided, some of the cases were withdrawn by the petitioners. The tribunals across the country will end their sitting on Saturday, September 16, 2023. One of the 3 House of Reps members whose elections were nullified by the tribunal in Enugu State was Honorable Engineer Chijioke Stanislaus Okereke, representing Agu Aniri Oji River Federal Constituency. Also, the Independent National Electoral Commission declared that Okereke won the election, but the tribunal sacked him, declaring Chief Onwegbu Anayo of the PDP as winner. The second person is Honorable Professor Paul Sunday Namchi, elected to represent Enugu East Isuzo Federal Constituency. Also in Enugu, the tribunal had nullified the election of Right Honorable Barrister Sunday Siriakos Umeha, representing Udi Ezagu Federal Constituency. The court said that he failed to properly resign his membership of the PDP before picking the ticket of the Labour Party. It declared the PDP candidate Festus Uzo as the winner. In Abia State, 3 House of Representative members elected on the platform of the Labour Party, Ibe Okwara Osonwa, Emeka Namani, and Munachim Alozi, have been sacked from the tribunal sitting in Umahia. I arrived right here in the studio, CP Chooks and Wanwu. CP Chooks, good afternoon and welcome to the World News at 12.
Good afternoon to you too.
Is it surprising for you to hear that most of the Labour Party representatives, either the National Assembly or State Assembly, are being sacked by the tribunal? You recall that just in Lagos here, Etiosa West, I think in Lekki area, one of the Labour Party House of Representative members actually won that local council. The court has actually asked that there should be a rerun within that local government. Thaddeus Atta is particularly his name. Prior to the election, Nigerians did not know anything about Hadi Asata, but you do know how Nigerians went to the polling unit to vote. They wanted to vote Labour Party. To them, it felt like Peter Obi was going to be the one in the House of Assembly, the one in House of Representatives, and so they just kept on thumbprinting on Labour Party. And at the time, Nigerians didn't know this individual. It was after the results were declared that we saw his face and questions were being asked. We don't know this person. He's just coming on board. We've never met him before. However, the tribunal has ruled that there should be a rerun. In some words, that elections were not properly conducted. The People's Democratic Party representative, that is Banky W, one of the musicians, actually said, okay, this is a possibility for things to turn around. And Lagos is not the only local government area, not the only ward where there have been a rerun or the tribunal has sacked the Labour Party. So they are actually the ones actually feeling the brunt of the tribunal. A couple of critics are saying from the presidency and down to the National Assembly, House of Representatives, almost of the Labour Party members who were elected after the elections have been asked to step down, and either the PDP is asked to replace them. So what exactly happened? What is going on?
Well, I think the errors would have come by way of the mode in which they got their nominations.
All right.
And subsequently went for the elections. You know, there are rules and regulations following conduct of elections. For instance, how long have you been a member of a political party? Those things are part of the criteria for people to qualify to go for elections. So if they had made these errors and had overwhelming support or vote based on the name of the party, not necessarily on the candidates, because it was like mass movement of the youth, the masses, and the workers. And that was what translated in the success at the polls. But unfortunately, from what we have seen, it appears that they violated the rules they could have followed in order to get those tickets and subsequently go for those elections. If you look at the way they went for those elections and even getting the nomination, there were a lot of flaws. Good number of them were people who felt frustrated or who felt shortchanged in the mainstream political parties of either APC or PDP. So out of desperation, they rushed into the Labour Party. Maybe because the Labour Party was the party on ground.
Was the party that was enraged?
Yes, the party that the workers, the masses, the youth were fully behind. That was what scaled them through those elections.
So now a couple of technical errors, that occurred at the period is what is being looked at the tribunal.
Exactly.
For example, one of the House of Representative members, according to what the tribunal said, he said that the members, the court failed. He said he failed to properly resign his membership from the PDP before he jumped into the Labour Party. So thereby, he's not a duly registered member of the party, has not been in the party for the required number of days that he's meant to be in before he moved on to before he, got to win that particular constituency.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's see how that goes. Some persons will say the tribunal, some critics will actually say the tribunal seems to be favoring some political parties. The Labour Party seems to be bearing the brunt. But let's move on, still on the Labour Party as well. Just about a few hours ago, or practically yesterday, some followers of Peter Obi, known as Obedience, are currently tackling Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka on social media. Now, Soyinka, who had a face-off with Obedience in the build-up to the general elections, fired fresh shots at the Labour Party presidential candidate just on Wednesday. Now, you would recall that prior to the elections, which was in April, after the elections were done, Wole Soyinka used some degenerative statements against the Obedience, literally calling them some words, and he thronged his speech. In fact, he said one of the reasons with them is that they failed to accept constructive criticism, although he has on several fronts claimed that he doesn't like the Labour Party. He's not a member of that. He doesn't support the party. Now, Peter Obi at the time went ahead to apologize to him when most of those comments, negative comments, thronged his speech, to let people know that he's all about peace and leadership cuts across board, right? But then this is the scenario, right? He said that while he was speaking at a particular event, Africa in the World, which brought together the world's most innovative thinkers and top leaders to platform invigorating ideas of fresh changes and sustainable solutions for African people. Apparently, he said that he disagreed with the comment credited to the Labour Party vice presidential candidate, Dati Baba Ahmed, shortly after INEC declared President Bola Tinubu as the winner. Now, here he made a statement that the Labour Party has always fed lies to the people. They're feeding lies to the young people, letting the young people believe that they have any chance, that he did not win at all and should stop feeding lies. Now, you recall 3 days ago, Loretta Onuche was asking the DSS to arrest Peter Obi, that heaven will not fall because he has been inducing violence and anarchy in the polity. A couple of persons have asked her, what evidence do you have of him inducing or instigating the polity in whatever form? When the elections were declared on February 29, he conducted a press conference telling his supporters to be calm as they proceed to the Supreme Court. After the tribunal judgment, he held a press conference and telling his supporters to be calm while they appeal, what the tribunal had declared. So what exactly is going on? Why is this back and forth coming? Why this kind of degenerative statements actually to the person of either Peter Obi? I need your objective response. Actually.
Well, coming to the issue of Professor Wole Soyinka, it's very unfortunate and sad that an elder statesman like that will be making such inflammatory and callous statements. And this is somebody that ought to be taken serious because of his profile and the height he has achieved, in the Committee of Nations. It's unfortunate, honestly. I don't expect such irresponsibility on the part of the professor.
All right.
And what he has been saying is clear xenophobic tendency. That is what he's expressing. Otherwise, first and foremost, he's not a member of any political party. Secondly, I don't know his interests to the extent of berating a candidate.
In that public forum, I'm sure you went for something entirely different.
That's what I'm saying.
You went for something personal, right?
Exactly.
And then you say that the Labour Party leadership had been trying to mobilize young people in the country to protest against the outcome of the election on the banner of lies and deceit. And the questions were being asked, have they asked anyone or have they talked about the fact that they won? Yes, Peter Obi has said he wants to reclaim his mandate. He has always said that, reclaim the mandate of the people. But at some point, it's almost like we just want to see, objectivity on how the elections were conducted, not necessarily saying that you must declare us the winner. But a couple of persons will say, possibly his old age, and that's why he's sounding the way he's sounding. What would you believe that that's basically it?
I think the problem of Wole Soyinka is senile.
He is?
He is. He appears to be senile.
Because he made an opinion about something that he feels, this is his own criticism of the system, of a particular political party, and just because he made condescending statements, does that mean he's senile?
I think so. He's consistently inconsistent.
Okay, what about Loretta Onuche, who made a statement that Peter Obi should be arrested because she made the same phrase that he is instigating and inciting young persons to create chaos and anarchy in the system? Would you say Loretta Onuche is senile?
Well, that of Loretta Onuche, she's seeking for a job or seeking for a political position.
The reason I asked is that Wole Soyinka's statement and that of Loretta Onuche are basically the same thing. Even Reno Omokri too, they all said the same thing. So would you use age as a difference in terms of saying this one is because of his age, that's why he's making this comment, but then this one because she's looking for a job? For Reno Omokri, that means he's also looking for a job.
He's looking for a job too for Reno Omokri, and I've said it times without number. He's one of those psychophants and bootlickers who has been painting people black with a view to curry favor from the ruling party. But
so would you say anyone who opposes this particular political party has an endemic issue? If for example, everyone has a right to choose whatever political party they want to choose. And some persons will say that it is normal for you to hear derogatory statements when it comes to politics for their opposition. But the question is that you're having a number of persons who have been making derogatory statements about this particular political principle and his party and all of that. Would we continue to call all of them different kind of names because they air their own opinion or supposed thoughts to what they think about the party and the principal and his supporters?
No, the thing is this. The bias is so glaring. The question is, why Obi? If it has no tribal or religious undertone, why have they not also been targeting PDP and Atiku Abubakar? Why must it be Obi only? That's the question everybody is asking. They are not being fair to the man because the man has not, for once, come out to urge people to go into violence. He has only said he wants to reclaim his mandate. The same thing he's saying is the same thing Atiku is saying. Atiku Abubakar is also, that's why he went to court, and that's why he has been going on.
Now, bringing you to that, the president of the country has appealed to a U.S. federal judge to disregard a record suggesting that the individual admitted to Chicago State University in the 1970s was a female, as reported by the People's Gazette. Now, Tinubu's lawyer, Christopher Carmichael, raised this argument on his behalf. Tinubu argued against introducing new matters in the ongoing case and noted his opponent, Atiku Abubakar, was attempting to use this issue against him. Now, Justice Jeffrey Gilbert of the United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois recommended that all parties appear before the court for a hearing. Tinubu's lawyers claim that controversy surrounding his identity were conspiracy theories and not his fault. However, Atiku Abubakar's lawyers disagree, stating that the hearing should proceed as scheduled. Okay, so it brings up, we had the same conversation yesterday, but there is an update on this. He's telling the lawyers of the Chicago State to actually disregard derogatory comments about his person and about his record. Now, people are asking questions and saying that, okay, if you claim that the school made a mistake, are you not supposed to sue the school? For years now, this was the certificate you tendered while you contested to be the governor of Lagos State. Exactly. At the time, the late Gani Fayemi actually brought up the issue, but, a couple of harassment occurred after the time. However, what makes this time different is that Nigerians seem to be woke, especially with these presidential elections that were just concluded. And everyone, you have the internet. So people began to make research on all of these political party members, including the president himself. And now, President Tinubu is now asking, that his legal counsel is asking or suggesting that being the fact that he was admitted to the United States of America in the CSU institution, that the school should disregard such claims by saying that the fact that there was a mistake from the school misidentifying his gender and the year that he actually went through to the school. You think that he will put his feet on ground and ask the school to do the needful by clearing out his name. Why right. Isn't he pursuing that?
That is the question everybody will ask him. For the fact that he's president does not mean that if there are wrongs concerning his person, that should not be brought to the fore. And that is exactly what Atiku Abubakar is pursuing. I don't see anything wrong in what Atiku is, pursuing at this point in time.
Okay.
If that will make Atiku to be able to upturn the position of the presidential election tribunal and in his favor to get either a rerun or to get himself declared as the president, so be it. That's the beauty of politics and the beauty of democracy.
But how is his legal team appealing to the U.S. federal judge to disregard records suggesting that the individual admitted to Chicago State University in the 1970s was a female? How should they disregard that?
Well,
he has made the statement himself initially that it was a mistake from the school.
Yes.
Later, we saw that the 1979 picture, that is what you call yearbook page or something.
Okay.
No one could find it. It was brought down.
Yes.
Later, we saw it brought up again, this time having his name. And then there was a typographical error on his name beneath that particular picture.
Exactly.
But now you're asking the court to disregard that particular individual whereby his name was not properly, they gave him a different gender as a female. So the question is, why do you want this thing to be covered up? If the school has done you wrong, they're supposed to make it right. Then secondly, you didn't pursue this case all this while. You made several statements as to the fact that the school was the one that made the mistake. You didn't pursue it, and you seem to be so lenient with it. You're saying that they shouldn't make any reference. Yesterday, you said they should not swear an oath. The school was meant to swear an oath if indeed they claim that the mistake is not from them. But you said no, there was no need to swear an oath, that it would cause media trolling. Then later, the team now said that the opposition political party is on a fishing expedition. So there is a lot of back and forth about this particular situation. The reason why we're talking about it today is that there is an update. A response has been given via his legal counsel to disregard whatever. Why are you mindful of how the media looks at you? As a president, the media will always put their beam light on you. Everything about you is now on the public fora.
Exactly.
Everything about you will be dissected and discussed because you are the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
That's right.
One of the largest country in West Africa, the major commercial hub center in Africa. So why wouldn't you want such an in-depth investigation to be made about you?
Well, like I said earlier, the duty or the expectation of counsels or lawyers is for them to wriggle their clients out of very difficult situation. And that is what is playing out now. Obviously, it seems to be a bad case. And the lawyers are trying the much they can to see how they will somersault or navigate out of the murky waters for their clients. It is normal. It's a normal thing in litigations.
Okay.
World over. Each time, whether the man has a bad case or a good one, the lawyers will always look for a way to wriggle their clients out of very tight or, terrible situations. And that is what exactly is playing out now.
All right. So this particular justice, his name is Geoffrey Gilbert of the United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois, is actually saying that the parties should appear before the court for a hearing. Now, after the claims that were made and concerning the controversy surrounding his identity, he stated that they were conspiracy theories and not his fault. Initially, you said it was the school's fault. Now you said it's a conspiracy theory. Don't you think this conflicting statement coming from him is giving a mental jigsaw?
Well, like I said, all these things are legal gimmicks.
When you say no, it's not CP. It's not about legal gimmicks.
Yes,
it's coming from the camp of the president.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe let's just say it's not him saying though, but his team. There have been several responses from him that are quite contradictory. You said it was the school's fault. You made mention that the school was the one that misfiled your date of birth, your gender, your identity. You complained that it was the school's fault. Now, this is an opportunity for the school to swear on the road, for you to subpoena the school, to do due diligence in ensuring that they correct the mistake they've made over how many years ago, right from before you became the governor of Lagos State. I would pursue that because it's giving me a negative image. Now you are saying that it's a conspiracy theory and that it should be disregarded, that it is not your fault but a conspiracy theory. Why would a conspiracy theory lead to a court hearing?
Well, let us do one minor analysis.
Okay.
In issue like, for an example, case of burglary. When somebody is a suspect in a case of burglary, all the ingredients of the offense are there. He went in night time, he broke in, he did this, he did that. You will find out that lawyers who appear for such suspects, will first and foremost, or accused persons, will first and foremost want to get the facts. Then they will tutor them on the way they will go to get them out of the doldrum. They will now turn the thing around, left, right, center. That's what I mean by the legal gimmicks.
But it's not, if you want to put your client in good light, you cannot have such inconsistencies.
But that is where they thrive.
This online newspaper, the People's Gazette, is one of the investigative online mediums. Just like you have the People's Gazette, you also have Premium Times. These are investigative online newspapers that try to go deep into issues like this. When this was brought up, first of all, brought in by a particular investigative journalist, Tunde, what's his name? David Hundeyin, yes. That was what made a lot of Nigerians begin to make their research on this. And that was when we began to see response from the presidency. But was it necessary? If this particular certificate is a cause for, is a cause for inconsistency, why tender it in the first place?
Well,
If the minimum requirement you need to run for office, the presidential seat in this country, is just a school certificate, then why did you tender that? That's not necessary.
well, maybe the time it was tendered, it never the advice or those who did it on his behalf never anticipated what is coming up right now.
Okay.
Because it appears that the thing is taking a different dimension. And since they have made that error ab initio, they have to work hard to wriggle out of the situation. And that is exactly what is playing out now.
All right, CP Chooks, I want to say thank you so much for what you have actually done by coming on the World News at 12 to give us what you think on the situation at hand. And we'd like to wrap up the World News at the moment. So in order for us to wrap up the World News at 12, here again are the top stories that you heard me read out to you earlier. You heard basically that there was a blackout as national electricity grid collapses. Also, there is an upset in Labour Party over massive sack of lawmakers. And anger is showing Kalfa's fresh hot shot at Peter Obi and his followers. That's a wrap on the World News at 12 right here in Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachuku. Good afternoon and thank you for staying with us.